Hello everybody, this is Purge, bringing you guys a replay commentary. This is a core Ogre game that I played the other day. Just to start this off, I'm not going to say that core Ogre is a good or viable thing. I just wanted to show you guys this cool build that I've been trying to make useful and show you guys the results of that. So, Ogre Magi is actually pretty high win rate right now in pro games. In fact, he's pretty highly picked in pub games and pro games as well. Maybe, I guess, in pubs his pick rate's gone down a little bit. I don't know what happened these couple days, but in pro games he's actually pretty commonly picked. I was watching games of Genting last night, and he was banned in the first phase, for example, just because he is extremely survivable. He has a lot of base armor, is probably his biggest strength. Extremely high base armor, very high base HP regen. He gets a couple points of regen per second, and he just has really high HP. So tanky, does good damage. Lots of regen. He's good at hitting heroes. And he also kind of transitions as a support in the sense that he can make your cores a little bit stronger pretty much at all stages of the game with Bloodlust. His ability that when cast on an ally or himself, it gives him movement speed bonus and attack speed bonus. 60 attack speed max, 16% movement speed. This is a really big advantage in team fights. And farming and pretty much everything. Pretty much all the time, Ogre Magi can be effective. A team that really likes playing Ogre Magi would be VP, I would say. They often do something where they grab Ogre Magi and they pair them with like semi-carries or with carries that kind of need some movement and attack speed bonus. And with that, they can become much stronger. So things like Sniper, Troll Warlord, heroes like that. Heroes that benefit heavily from Bloodlust. Shadow Fiend's a good example too. But again, he's almost always played as a support, but I'll over when I get into the video, we'll talk about why he can sort of almost work as a core. Skill build, almost always you get Ignite level 1. I think Fire Blast level 2 is very good. Sometimes you'll get Bloodlust here. By level 3 or level 4, you want at least one of every of the skills, and usually I like Maximum Fire or Ignite better. The reason being that Ignite does a lot of damage. If we look at the numbers here, the duration goes up by 1 second and the damage goes up by a little bit with each level. So by level 4, you're dealing 400 magic damage, if I'm not mistaken, with 4 skill points, which is pretty good, 100 damage a skill point. At level 1, however, you're dealing 130 damage. So 130 damage with 1 skill point is really effective in harassing your opponents. The downside is that it's damage over time, so it's not upfront. And it slows a decent amount, but not amazing, 20 to 26%. Fire Blast is another good disable. Stuns for 1.5 seconds. The problem is that the cast range is really short, and the damage is not very high. 55 damage per level, up to 220. That's really weak for a level, for a 4 skill point nuke. And the Bloodlust, of course, make you faster, and then the way your ultimate works is it gives you a chance to have a better ability cast, for example. So Ignite, when you get multicast, it gives it an AoE. Rather than only affecting a single target, it becomes an AoE skill. And it's an AoE around where it hits, and then it has a chance to multicast to apply it and cast more Fire Blasts on different enemies, basically. So you can kind of apply a Fire Blast or Ignite across multiple people. If you multicast Fire Blast, you get multiple Fire Blasts in a row casted, so even though it only does 220 damage, you could cast up to 4 potential Fire Blasts if you have level 3 ultimate. But at level 1, it can only do max 2. And the chances of those go up over time. I don't know exactly how the math works. It might be something like you have a 60% for a multiclass to happen at level 3. And if that happens, 25 out of 60 of that will be a 3 times, and 12.5 out of 60 will be... I'm not sure how it works, because the way that it looks to me is that you should add those up technically, and it would be 85 plus 12.5, which is 92.5. But it's not that often that you would get a multicast. So I think it's something like 60% of the time you're guaranteed a multicast, 25% of the time it's going to be 3 times, 12.5% it's going to be 4 times. So that's how it works. Oh, and as you level this up, you can also multicast Bloodlust, so it'll cast on other allies nearby. And it by skilling multicast also lowers the cooldown of Bloodlust. It's a really long cooldown at level 1 at 20 seconds. So it's hard to cast it on multiple people in the game. Items-wise, you don't really need to be that concerned about your survivability because you have so much HP and armor. So usually you focus on things like making sure you have enough mana to cast a lot of spells, or having an item that can save you or allies. So things like Force Staff, Glimmer Cape are really good. I don't know if I'd ever buy Ghost Scepter, maybe, but maybe some certain situations. Definitely always buy Wand, just because it already gives you HP regen. An item that makes you more tanky and helps solve some of your mana problems is exactly what you need on a hero that's already naturally tanky. Works really good. Orb of Venom is fantastic as well, because it helps you run people down and chase them and continue to harass. Tranquil Boots is probably the better boots on Ogre Magi over Arcane Boots. In fact, Tranquils as a whole seem to be really popular right now in the pro scene. just because they make you so much faster. And that's actually one of his big weaknesses right now, is that his movement speed is atrocious at 285. But again, it's important to remember that with Bloodlust you can increase your movement speed, so in some ways you have ways to offset that, and if you get Tranquil Boots, everything's fine as well. Soul Ring is probably extremely core in this hero right now as well. Soul Ring has also become extremely popular in the pro scene because it gives you 6 strength and it gives you 2 HP regen per second. So if you want to cast a spell, you use Soul Ring, and because you have naturally high regen and HP, that it doesn't really cost you that much difficulty, and it also increases your HP a little farther with 6 strength. So and because you have really good strength gain, extremely good strength gain, by the way, one of the best for intelligence heroes, if not the best. In fact, I think Ogre Magi is in top 5 for strength gains in the whole game. Because of that, having more strength is always a good thing, because the regen it provides is going to be further amplified by your strength. So his int gain is really bad for an int hero. It's been reduced recently, and his agility gain is kind of crappy. But ultimately, the agility gain is not that big of a deal. The only thing that it hurts him on, in my opinion, is his armor. He doesn't increase a huge amount of armor over time, and he doesn't get much attack speed. But again, the attack speed doesn't matter, because again, you've got Bloodlust to give you attack speed. So as stats as a whole, the only one that really hurts Ogre is his int loss, and that's because it means that you don't have as much right-click damage over time. It means you have less of a mana pool, and you don't get as much mana regen from any mana regen items that you purchase. Great attack point. As a whole, very good hero, very strong. Things he's best against, I don't know if it's that worth talking about some of these, but most of them are kind of weak to disable or burst nukes. And heroes he's bad against are mostly heroes that are weak to AoE, because Ogre does not have very good AoE. His only AoE, again, is Ignite. And it's a slow damage over time. And if you use this against somebody and they have something like a Dispel, like a Manta style, they can remove Ignite. They can use BKB, and then it stops the damage. If you're laning against a Legion Commander, for example, Legion Commander can use her second skill, press the attack, to dispel herself. It removes Ignite, and then all of a sudden the extra 5 seconds of damage you're planning to deal don't happen. So against certain heroes, Ignite can be really bad. But as a whole in the laning stage, is very, very good. In terms of his talents, you've got cast range of 100 at 10 or 60 GPM. Most pro players, almost exclusively, I feel like, go for GPM, because Ogre is mostly played as a 5. At 15, we have 90 damage, which is a lot, or 300 health. The win rates here are pretty close. If I'm playing support, most often I'm going to get 300 health, because there aren't a lot of opportunities for you to walk in and right-click people a lot in normal games. If you're playing low MMR games, get what feels better to you. In most cases, it's probably going to be 90 damage, in my opinion. But in pro games, I would highly expect they get health almost every time. At 20, this one's a little bit more obvious, in my opinion. You either have 40 extra Bloodlust attack speed, so instead of giving 60 attack speed, it gives 100. That's really good, because that's going to not be just be for you, but for your allies and your carries and things like that. Really fantastic perk. And the other one's 30 strength. So to look at 30 strength, you have to remember what it does. Every 10 strength gives you 200 health, so 30 strength is 600 HP. So it's basically double the strength of this, double the health of the 15 perk. But the other cool thing is what strength gives you in terms of percentage regen. I checked it out in demo mode right before this, and 30 strength points gives you a little bit over 20% extra HP regen. That means that if I buy an item that gives me 1 HP regen per second, that it will instead give me 1.2 HP per second because of this strength perk. So if I have 10 HP per second from an item, and I get the strength perk, all of a sudden I'm getting 12 HP per second, or 12.1, or whatever the heck the percentage was, something like that. So these kinds of things really add up over time, because your strength gain is also really good. So, but again, the important thing to remember is that if your opponents deal a lot of damage, they're going to kill you so fast that regen doesn't matter. But if you can elongate a fight and stay alive longer, that every 10 seconds, for example, let's say I'm regenerating 20 HP per second, even while taking damage, even if I have Tranquil Boots or something. If I'm getting 20 HP per second, and I stay alive for 10 seconds while taking damage, that means that I've gained an extra 200 HP from regen. And that is a huge amount of survivability if you think about it. So if you can add lots of HP with strength, with regen, your hero can go a lot farther. And things like urns being used on yourself should be benefited. I don't know if things like mech do, I guess. I've never tested that before. Maybe Urn doesn't as well, but HP regen sources, things like having a hood, or having a pipe, or having a magic wand, all of those things get amplified. You can get heroes to pretty good places lately. The 25 perk is really interesting. These are both really hard decisions to make. You've already got either got 90 movement speed, which is huge in the late game, and keep in mind that this 90 is now going to be amplified by the 16% here. So if we actually do math on that, 90... times 1.16. If you have Bloodlust active, this is really 104.4 movement speed, which is ridiculous. It is so much, actually. It's a big benefit in the late game, because that would mean that your hero is probably going to be running consistently around about 450 movement speed in the late game. That's incredible. That's so much movement speed. Like, you're so fast. You can chase people down better. You can get kills, stuff like that. But 275 Fire Blast damage is also insane, because the skill by itself does 220. So if you add 275 to that, you're now doing 495 magic damage, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 495 magic damage every Fire Blast. It's not a 12-second cooldown, by the way. It's actually less, because once you get multicast, it lowers the cooldown by up to 6. So we're looking at a 6-second cooldown, 495 magic damage nuke. Again, the cast range is low. And you can multicast it. So that means if you 2 times cast it, you're basically doing 1,000 damage. 3 times is about 1,500. And 4 times is about 2,000 magic damage if you get lucky there. So this perk is really tempting to get. But again, 104 movement speed is insane for you being able to initiate, escape, everything. Movement speed is super key in a lot of late game scenarios, and I'm not surprised that it has the higher win rate, to be honest, because once people pop BKBs, it doesn't really matter how much Fire Blast damage you do. A really cool item that you can buy in him is Ember Scepter. It gives you a second Fire Blast called Unrefined. That Unrefined is not increased by this damage, so that's important to note. When you cast Unrefined, it costs 60% of your current mana pool. That can be reduced by things like Kaya, and I was trying to explore the thought of getting items like that, but I'm not sure it works. There's just so many cool items that you can hypothetically buy in Ogre. That would make like core Ogre kind of cool, but I'm not sure. I'm not completely solidified. In terms of perks, by the way, I'm actually really partial towards cast range. I think the cast range perk is really good on Ogre Magi, because the cast range of this is pretty low. If you're playing core Ogre, I'm absolutely certain that cast range is better than GPM. And you just got to remember how crappy 60 GPM is. This is, I think, one of the few remaining 60 GPM. There's not very many left in the game. Most of them are bigger or removed. But if I get this at, let's say, 20 minutes, and I grab the perk, within 10 minutes, it's going to give me 600 gold. And 600 gold is a lot more than I would have otherwise, but... and a lot of times Ogre is kind of just subsisting as like a 5. You buy wards, you cast Bloodlust, you sometimes do Ignites and Fire Blasts. And that gold can make the difference. But if I'm playing a core, it's irrelevant. Because you'll hit 10 faster. So yes, you'll get more GPM out of it. But even like 30 minutes of gameplay is still only 1,800 gold. That's not even like a real item yet. 40 minutes is 2,400 gold. It's still not a real item. If you're talking 120 GPM... 100 GPM, 90 GPM, 180 GPM, those are amazing, but 60 GPM is not so good. If I'm playing core, cast range is a much better chance to not only stun them before they stun me, but also guarantee a kill. And if you get maybe 2 kills with cast range difference, or die, if you get 1 extra kill and die 1 time less, that's already just, every 10 minutes you're justifying the gold per minute difference, in my opinion. So I feel like cast range is really beneficial. Not to mention sometimes you want to cast Bloodlust on somebody and they're running away from you, or maybe cast Ignite from safer distance. There's things like that that are really beneficial. So I like the cast range. Also works for things like Glimmer Cape, Force Staff, Urn of Shadows, if you use it on an ally. There's other benefits, so I'm pretty partial to that. So I think that's about just about everything you need to know about Ogre Magi, other than the fact that he's one of my most played heroes. Most of the time I play support. I have a 60% win rate on him, which is really high. And my KDA ratio, I don't know if that matters or not, but I kind of go all over the place. Mostly support with some core. I don't know if I played 15 core games. Maybe I played some support games where I transitioned or something. Not sure. Anyways, let's actually hop into the replays now. We're going to do this. Close this. Yes, I want to close all tabs. And then hop over here. You can do it, XSplit. Okay, cool. So, this was, full disclosure, this was a fairly low MMR game in the sense that I was playing with my homies. And I was the only Divine 5 in the game. But in thinking about where I wanted to go, I knew that I wanted to play core Ogre Magi. In the past, when I've done this, I pretty much always went to the safe lane and played like a carry. And after playing this game and thinking about it now, I kind of feel like that's a waste to go safe lane. The reason being that, yes, I could do a good job helping to kill the offlane hero by spamming Ignite and casting Bloodlust on people and while getting last hits, but I think it's probably better if you play Ogre in the mid lane, if you do want to play core Ogre. The reason being that you're really survivable. Like, I've got 2 Ironwood branches here, and if I didn't have those, I would have 660 HP, level 1. And I've got 8 armor, and I'm getting 5.8 regen per second, maybe a little bit less if I had 2 less Ironwood branches and the mango gives me 1. But that's a stupid amount of HP regen. That means if I buy something like a Stout Shield, me dying is extremely unlikely. Definitely wanted to bully this guy here. Was thinking about casting Ignite, but didn't want to commit to it necessarily, because depending on what I wanted to skill later. But you can... I'm extremely survivable right now, and even if they do right-click me, the damage they do is going to be pretty resisted. Any damage that gets through is resisted by 30%, for example. So, very survivable, stupid amounts of regen. I deal a lot of damage. I felt like I should just go mid. As long as I'm not in a matchup against like a ranged hero that has a big advantage. I think if I was against a Shadow Fiend, I would not be very happy, because he could probably triple raise me. With that said, I could also bully a Shadow Fiend. I could chase him down, run up to his hill, trade effectively by casting Ignite and chasing and Fire Blasting, or Bloodlust and Ignite and an Orb of Venom, maybe chase him down. In this game, I was against a Ember Spirit. And Ember Spirit is actually certainly abusable. If you take a look, I'll click on his hero very temporarily here. He's only got 1 armor, so he's only got 8% physical resist. And he's also got Flame Guard, which only absorbs up to 80 magic damage at level 1 and up to 200 at level 2. So that means if I cast either Fire Blast or Ignite on him, I can break his shield. Sounds right here using his orb on me, or his glaives. I think it's not the right move. I personally don't think that's the best ability to get level 1 as Silencer. So he hasn't really scared me too much here. I should be getting all the last hits though. He does have a Quelling Blade, so him getting last hits is certainly going to be something that he can do. And his damage is actually relatively close to mine. That's only what, 5 difference. But I can harass him at a greater advantage. I can pretty safely get last hits myself. I wish I had a Quelling Blade in this circumstance. Actually, I missed a lot of these last hits. I remember now. In fact, do I have any last hits yet? Oh, I've got 2 whole last hits. Not great. But it just feels very survivable. And if I'm survivable like this, and I'm not a squishy hero, and Silencer comes in and realizes, like, I'm actually not going to do much of any damage to this guy at all, and that sucks. That's a really good situation for us to be in. Really nicely done by Chris here to come gank. And I've also able to use Bloodlust to just have a huge movement speed advantage. The banish was okay here. I don't think that was the right move though. I think he maybe should have banished me instead. I'm not sure. I had to use Ignite here again to get him slowed down. And now because he ate that tree, probably because he wanted the regen or something. Maybe he shouldn't have cut that. If he used a Quelling to cut that, that was a mistake. If he ate a Tango there, then I understand. Because he could have fogged me on it, basically. But pretty straightforward kill, right? I give myself Bloodlust. It puts me up to about 310 movement speed. I can use Ignite to deal 130 magic damage, which is insane for 90 mana. And then Fire Blast as well to commit to chasing somebody. And if they even want to harass me, it's hard. Because I have frickin' 7 HP regen right now. And I just started the lane. Like, I actually have a free ring of health in my lane. It's kind of crazy. So, with all this said about how amazing Ogre is at the laning stage, the super important thing to remember is Ogre doesn't really transition very well as a hero. And this is kind of something I've encountered multiple times when I try to play Ogre Core. Is that, okay, I'm amazingly strong early game. I'm amazingly strong in the early mid game, like way stronger than a hero should be. But then when I get to like late game scenarios, he falls off really, really hard. And that's because I don't have good AoE and I don't have good team fight, basically. And by that I mean, man, I'm doing a really bad job of choosing last hits here. Luckily I got that one. The reason he doesn't transition is because if I cast Ignite on a bunch of supports, okay, it's going to do a lot of damage to them, but they can still protect themselves, they can still Glimmer Cape. If I want to kill somebody, I have to be this close to them to cast Fire Blast, and then I have to attack them a bunch. And all of that kind of requires things like me being magic immune, for example. I'll always get to late game scenarios with Ogre where it's like, oh, I'm really survivable and all. And yes, I can kind of kill people, but I have a lot of trouble... I'll have a lot of trouble not just getting chain disabled in team fights. That's pretty much it. Chris here getting a little bit too close. I give him the Bloodlust so he'd run a little bit faster and possibly be able to get away here. My magic wand completed, so I can't eat my mango anymore. And my first purchases here, I got a magic wand, 2 gauntlets, Quelling Blade as well. Quelling is kind of important because your hero... I mean, I right-click a lot, right? And Ignite is technically an AoE, but if I want to get a lot of creep kills, or if I'm jungling or something, it's really beneficial to increase the damage I deal to creeps in combination with the attack speed that I get from Bloodlust. Pretty much any melee core is going to want a Quelling Blade in almost all circumstances, just because if you ever jungle, it'll increase the speed that which you collect farm quite easily. Definitely was thinking about pressuring the Ember Spirit here. Hypothetically, he can use Flame Guard, and the smart thing he did was he used it halfway through. If he used that right away, upon Ignite landing, Ignite would have done enough damage to break the Flame Guard. But him by pressing it halfway through the Ignite, he knew that it wouldn't deal a total of 200 damage. So he would get to leave. He would be able to leave Flame Guard on the whole time. Because you don't really want to use Flame Guard just to protect yourself from 200 magic damage. That's not worth it. You want to use it to protect some of the damage, but also stay on so that it deals damage to enemies and harasses them. Clarity Potions are also really recommended right now to make sure that you keep your mana full. It's extremely, extremely important. My next item purchase is usually going to be my boots choice. Now, almost every support Ogre Magi goes either Tranquils or Arcane Boots, with the majority, I believe, going Tranquil Boots lately because of Ogre's bad movement speed and because Soul Ring being so good. But when I'm playing core Ogre Magi, I want Phase Boots every single time without question. The reason being because when you have Phase Boots, your movement speed goes up by a lot. You can use it to chase. It amplifies your movement speed temporarily for like, what, 24% movement speed increase or something like that. And that stacks in a nice way with Bloodlust. I can become faster with Bloodlust, and Phase Boost also makes me run faster. And Phase Boost does 24 physical damage, and I can increase the attack speed of that with Bloodlust. So even though I can't attack very fast with Phase Boots on most heroes, Bloodlust helps make up for that, and just genuinely makes it feel worth it. So there's the multicast here. It ends up hitting this like range creep. It's random what the second targets will hit. I was thinking about going on him here. I maybe could have dove the tower. Certainly a possibility. Another important thing, cool thing to notice is I actually didn't even use my Shared Tango yet. I literally just subsisted on the laning stage by a Mango and my base regen. But most of that's just because this guy can't harass me because I deal too much magic damage with Ignite. It's like this really huge advantage. If his Flame Guard protects himself against one of whatever nuke that the person has, then Flame Guard can actually be really beneficial. But in this matchup, like, there's almost nothing this Ember Spirit can do at this point. Ganking was maybe the one way, and they don't really have very good ganking heroes. If they had different heroes, it would certainly be a possibility, but it doesn't really look like it this game. And Chris has also done a really good job this game, ganking for me, being in my lane. If you guys are wondering why I'm tanking the tower here, it's because I wanted the catapult to stay alive, basically. Now I need to walk away a little bit. Took a little bit of damage, but it's okay. I'm also turning around here because I felt like it was time to chase. I actually really needed to not stun him in that moment because I stacked my stun with Chris's. And in the last second, I'll use the magic wand to make sure I stay alive. Fortunately, Chris is not going to be able to get that kill. Maybe I should have turned earlier, used another spell. I'm not sure. But either way, I've got 11 HP regen. I've got super high armor, so I feel pretty comfortable in staying. Definitely be different if they had better heroes. But certainly this game, when it's a Shadow Demon who doesn't have a lot of damage and a Silencer who has some damage issues, they're going to have a lot of trouble guaranteeing kills on me. So again, because I'm playing core and I want to have the most damage possible, I'm always going to max Ignite. And it's not just that. It's also, the other thing to remember is that if I get multicast and I max Fire Blast, it does way more damage, right? Because it can double, that would deal 440 damage. I guess that's about the same as Ignite. But having a stun and dealing the damage up front is certainly better. But the other thing to remember is that as a core, you almost always need a way to push. If you don't have a way to push, you're going to have trouble. Because if I ever want to, like, destroy his tower, for example, I need to kill the creep wave as fast as I possibly can. It's really important. Got a little lucky on the multicast here. Just going to de-aggro here so the tower doesn't hit me too much. It's going to go pick up the illusion here. You know, looking at it now, I really shouldn't have even bothered going for it. I should have just turned and ignited the Shadow Demon and chased him down. There's a very real chance I could have killed him there if I didn't continue running to the rune. Because it was clear what he wanted to do here. But yeah, pushing the lane, super important. Increases your farm. So I don't have to right-click every single creep that I want to get. Oh, that's a really nice snake here. Probably should have used Bloodlust a little bit earlier. Nice time for the Pangolier to come in. Fortunately, I tanked a little bit too much damage from the tower, and as soon as the PA TP'd in, I should have been running this whole time, for sure. I also kind of guaranteed my death in the sense that I kept casting spells while I had Arcane Curse on me, which just ensures that it's going to stay on longer. So I was getting 12% slowed and taking 22 damage for a second for a long time. So, just a little bit overeager. I also have 2,000 gold in the bank, which I should have spent by now. If I had something like Phase Boots there, maybe I can run away in time. Things like that. So... But either way, things are going very good for me. Again, Chris has done some really, really good ganks, but net worth is very high and Ember Spirit's having a terrible time. So at the least, I think this should very clearly demonstrate that Ogre has a big laning prowess. So the first item that I really like buying when I go core Ogre, other than Phase Boots, is Echo Saber. I think in the past I wasn't purchasing Soul Ring, if I remember correctly. I was skipping that in favor of a fast Echo Saber with a wand, because I didn't really want to fill my item slots. I'm trying to like get to the things that really matter really rapidly. And Echo Saber is really good for the fact that if you're an int hero or strength hero, it actually gives you 20 damage. If you're an agility hero, Echo Saber kind of sucks because it only gives you strength and intelligence. And agility heroes usually get enough attack speed naturally. But for heroes that don't have a lot of attack speed, Echo Saber is really good. And the other benefit is that, of course, I have mana needs, and that I'm also an intelligence hero. So having more intelligence is really beneficial for increasing my spell amplification and my damage. Oh, and the other really important thing that I forgot to mention was intelligence also gives you magic resistance if you're an int hero. So one of the nice benefits of this, of Ogre Magi, is that you have insanely big strength gain. And if you combo that with having intelligence on top of that, that he gets a lot of natural magic resistance, which further makes you tanky just by being leveled up, even regardless of items. This seemed very clear to me that they had an Observer Ward, based on the fact that he TP'd in and instantly walked towards me. Did that actually land on him? It did, nice. That's a lot of damage. But it seemed like they had an Observer Ward in somewhere. In fact, I want to take a look at the map just to check. They had a ward here, but I don't think that one spotted me. They had a sentry ward here. Okay, so it was just a sentry. I guess he just happened to... Maybe they saw me run up there. I'm not sure, but yeah, having intelligence and Echo Saber, I really like it on Ogre. And technically, the double hit is a little bit redundant when you get a lot of levels of Bloodlust, but I'm kind of a big fan of it in terms of the stats that it provides for the hero. So pretty much always going to cast Ignite on this guy whenever possible. It's a 15-second cooldown, so it's pretty long, but there's really no reason for me not to throw it. I even cast Fire Blast here because I wanted to maybe kill his armor a little bit faster. It didn't work out. Didn't end up doing enough damage. Oh, this looks like a kill now. I actually should have chased him a lot earlier there. I think there's a real chance I could have killed him. He actually did have a remnant down. I actually 100% could have killed him. Is he going to die? Oh, I actually still killed him. I don't even think I realized at the time. If we go back 10 seconds, you can see that I was looking to TP. But yeah, I certainly should have chased there. I should have checked his mana to saw that he wasn't able to react. This is why I canceled my TP, because if they had to dive further, there was certainly a way that I could have helped out there, but it wasn't going to happen. Anyways, I really like the Soul Ring now because of the way that HP regen stacks. I get 40% extra regen from any regen I get, so this is giving me about 3, close to 3 right now, which is not bad. And Soul Ring is really useful later on too when you buy an Aghanim Scepter on Ogre because of the fact that the Unrefined Fire Blast costs you such a huge percentage of your mana pool. It's very easy for you to run out of mana very rapidly. And when that happens, you don't necessarily want to just only cast Unrefined Fire Blast, you want to keep casting Fire Blasts. So the easiest way to do that is to use Soul Ring, cast a Fire Blast, and then cast Unrefined when you only have like 10 mana left over, for example. So, got my Echo Saber finished, gives me 10 strength, 10 intelligence, 10 attack speed, 15 damage. That's, sorry, 25 damage item, not a 20. This guy is literally just dead. You might be a little confused on my skill build now, and that I'm not maxing Bloodlust first. And I think this is the first time that I've tried this, but I felt really, really good about it, actually. Normally I would go 1-4-4, max Bloodlust as fast as possible, thinking like, dude, I can be so fast, I can chase them all down, get all these kills. But then they lowered Ogre Magi's movement speed, and they reduced his int gain, and I was not feeling as good about the whole become super fast thing. Because when I tried it out on a stream at least, I know, or maybe in a pub game, don't remember, but I was really fast with max Bloodlust, and I would go Shadow Blade so that I could get ganks off and stuff. That all felt really good. All felt really good, but the problem was that I would have trouble getting kills. Again, I mentioned that it was about having BKB. And that's mostly because... Yeah, that's the thing. I remember this chase now. If you're reliant on you running around and right-clicking to get kills, then the only time you're going to get kills is when you're not stunned, basically. But if I instead max out Fire Blast relatively early, really helpful from the Pango. Keep me away. But if you're all focused on right clicks, then it really hurts your ability to get successful ganks off in the mid part of the stage. Like in the part where BKBs are really needed, where your opponents have a lot of disables, that kind of stuff. TP'd out here because I was pretty low, and I really didn't want to die because I have a nice advantage. But leveling up this damage is just certainly worth it. Like, the mana cost goes up a little bit. The damage goes up only by a moderate amount. But if you do get lucky and get a multicast, you're dealing a lot more damage. Especially by the time you hit level 12. That's the other really nice thing. Like, for example, if I had gotten my talent tree at 10 for cast range, it's like, okay, I get better cast range, but I'm not doing enough damage. And right now, I really need damage more than anything else. So, if I had gone 144, gotten my talent at 10, and now at 11 would have, like, 1 point in, a second point in Fire Blast or something, because it could be 2 over here, 1 over here. I wouldn't be done with Bloodlust yet, I don't believe. Yeah, I would be 144 right now. So getting 12, then you have this multicast level. And then all of a sudden from 13 to 16 is when you max out Fire Blast. I think that's the crucial thing that I missed before. I actually feel like I need to pause for this because I think I'm getting behind on stuff. What I missed was that by the time you hit second point in multicast, your chance to multicast is like really, is now what, 50% of all spells? So it's a 50% chance to guarantee that you get at least a 2 times cast. And 20% of the time you cast, you're going to get a 3 times cast. So if I all of a sudden hit 12 and my Fire Blast is still level 1, like it would be if I went 144 with 1 point in my talent tree, then who cares if I get a 3 times cast? That's equivalent to having 3 points in Fire Blast. That's not shit. But now, because I went this 4-4-2-1 build with skipping my talent tree, if I happen to get a 3 times cast, I'm instantly doing 660 magic damage. And that's a 10-second cooldown, and that's a 20% chance. And if I don't even get a 3 times, and I just get a 2 times, all of a sudden I'm doing 440 magic damage. In the past, when I would 2 times cast, I'd be doing 110 damage. Nothing. Literally nothing. It was kind of like, oh cool, I multicasted, but it doesn't matter. So I think this build is really, really important to do if you try to do Core Ogre. Because by the time you hit that timing spike of like level 10 to 12, where you've got level 1, level 2 multicast, that's where you need Fire Blast to do work for you. Like the time that I killed the Silencer by the Shrine, that wouldn't have happened if my Fire Blast wasn't leveled up. I just wouldn't have gotten the kill. And again, you're probably thinking, well, what about the what about the Bloodlust levels? Look at the scaling of this thing. It's actually not even that great from here on out. Level 1, 10%, 30 attack speed, really good 1-point skill. The next level, you're only getting 2% movement speed difference and 10% more attack speed, which is a 33% increase in attack speed and a 20% increase in movement speed. That's pretty crappy for a second point. And from here, it just gets worse. You get an extra 2% movement speed, you get an extra 10% attack speed, you get an extra 2% movement speed, another 10 attack speed. It's static in terms of its increases. So each additional level is about the same as what it was before. And the best level is the first, and the second best level is the second. So I feel like with just 2 points of Bloodlust, it pretty much does everything I need to. Because 2 more skill points to lose 4% movement speed and 20 attack speed, that is not nearly as important. I didn't realize it until this game. It's not nearly as important as having extra Fire Blast damage and the chance to do a stupid amount of damage with multicast. So I think this build is kind of mandatory for Core Ogre. As a support, almost no support Ogres will do this build. But looking at it now, I'm kind of the opinion that they should. Because again, 20 attack speed difference, 4% movement speed, it's pretty marginal compared to the difference of maybe getting a powerful Fire Blast. So if you are playing support Ogre though, you're almost always going to get the 60 GPM perk at 10. So maybe that wouldn't be worth it in the end anyways. But I felt pretty justified in this game going for the Fire Blast damage, and it definitely felt like I was a much bigger threat on that. Again, part of that is because we're actually completely stomping them, because I think we won all 3 of our lanes. So this isn't like the best example of a game to show you like, wow, look how great this is at all stages. But got a multicast here. Wanted to save, like I just got a 3 times cast and the guy just died. It wasn't even really that much about how much right click damage I did. Another build that you hypothetically could go is skip Echo Saber and go Shadow Blade really fast. That way you can make the ganks on the map happen a little bit faster. Certainly a good thing to do. I really should have Bloodlust on myself. I don't know why I don't. This is very weird. Again, I didn't have Bloodlust. I think he should die. I think he was going to die. I didn't realize this until afterwards. I was like, oh wow, I really thought that guy was going to die, but he used Phoenix Egg. We heard it here. We're like, oh, he used Phoenix Egg. We could hear it explode. So he used Phoenix Egg to not die there. Probably not worth it for the fact that now he literally doesn't do any damage in the team fight. It's kind of very costly to him. Yeah, there's literally no reason I shouldn't have Bloodlust on all the time. It's 10-second cooldown, 30-second duration. There's no reason not to. Got a regen rune over here. Yeah, I Bloodlusted the Witch Doctor. And now, anyways, my Bloodlust is going to be maxed soon anyways. But I just needed Fire Blast maxed out so that I can do a lot more damage in the early mid game. And now I'm going to play in this area on the map because I'm very confident in my hero's damage output, survivability, stuff like that. I'll of course push lanes if I can. I remember this. We all laughed so hard when that happened. I mean, I got lucky on both, really. I got a 3 times multicast with Ignite, and then immediately afterwards I got a 3 times Fire Blast with Fire Blast. That's crazy. That's a 20% of a 20% chance. And then I 3 times casted this guy. That was also insane. Like, this little period of time was like the luckiest I've been in a very long time in Ogre. But the crazy part was that I was able to use it in an abusive way as well. Like, we're obviously already in a great position, and their heroes are vulnerable to burst damage. That's why this hero is good against PA. Because at this point, I'm like dealing tons of damage, magic, and until he gets like a BKB or something, he is not very survivable. That's why PA is kind of, in some ways, a bad hero. So still trying to use Echo Saber to push. I mean, I've basically been fine on mana this whole time between Soul Ring and Echo Saber. This gives me, what, 0.75 mana regen? My int is not amazing, but it's okay. At this point, I kind of felt like what I was missing was right-click damage, I'd probably say. I thought about going back for the egg, but it didn't really feel very worth it, so... if you're ever using Shadowblade, I always recommend, if you have phase boots, that you use them at the same time. I didn't do it here, but Shadowblade has a very small fade time, meaning that you can Shadowblade in phase pretty much at the same time, and you will be able to get somewhere. I saw was that Shadow Demon? And then I wanted to kill this guy. Fortunately, my Shadowblade ran out. I'm remembering a different time just now. Again, no reason not to have Bloodlust on myself. I think I was waiting to cast the Clarity. Again, I don't know why I didn't Bloodlust. I wasn't paying good attention. Fortunately, took just a little bit more damage than I needed to kill him. Ended up feeding. If I had Bloodlust active there, I feel like I probably would have killed him. Because 50 attack speed is huge. I probably would have gotten 1 extra right click in before his disable. And he also got Fire Blast, so I didn't even get unlucky there. That was just genuinely a terrible idea, especially because everyone else is there. Phoenix does a lot of magic damage. Sunray does damage based on a percentage, I think, of your HP. Percentage of their health, yeah. So if I have a lot of health, which I do, Sunray's going to deal a lot of damage. And again, because my int gain is not amazing, it goes criticizing Chachi's skill build here. There's no reason you should max Heart Piercer before Shield Crash. You want the cooldown so you can nuke with it. Because my hero doesn't have the best int gain, my magic resistance is not amazing, which is kind of a downer. Because actually most int heroes will have about 40, 50 int at a very early part of the game. It doesn't take very long. So Ember's able to run back and he survives. I'm going to look at that again because I do remember this moment. So first off, you should always be looking for kills like this, especially if you have Shadowblade, and that's basically my point, right? The reason I get Shadowblade is because it gives me right-click and attack speed, which is things that I need, and it helps me move around invisible, which means I can get into position better to get kills. If you don't have Shadowblade and you're trying to gank on Ogre, you need like a Blink Dagger or Force or a Glimmer. Shadowblade works really well for almost all cores that want to become a ganking sort of hero, but don't really have the abilities to do it naturally. It lets you get into position to try to kill somebody, is what Shadowblade will always do. Use Bloodlust? No, I don't think I did. Pretty sure I did not Bloodlust there. And the other thing that I wanted to look at was the time, why I felt like I had to go. My ally, the PL, was approaching, but I felt like I had to go here. And the reason is because if this guy's a good player, as soon as he kills this creep, he's going to jump away. Because I know he's probably got a Remnant down. And that's usually what you do when you're playing Ember Spirit, is you go farm a dangerous place, and as soon as it's time to leave, you leave. So if he kills this creep, and then he teleports away, he's gone no matter what anyways. And I don't get the kill. So that's why I went on him here. I could have waited till PL gets here, but the chances of this Ember being stupid and continuing were not very high. Maybe he would have kept going, but if he was a good player, he wouldn't have. So that's why I went for it. I also didn't get a multicast on Fire Blast, I think, which is fair. So what, less than 50%, or it's a 50% chance of that not happening. But even in that moment, even though he didn't die, he still is forced to go all the way back to base. I did like 80% of his HP, so he gets some farm, but he also has to leave again, which is obviously very bad. Did I ever use Bloodlust this game? Okay, I think I did actually have it active. It's just the icon was bugged. So again, there we go. Shadow Blade, Phase Boots, Bloodlust before I go Invis, use Soul Ring before as well. A little bit of help from the Pangolier, and all of a sudden we get a kill. And now the game is just kind of over for them, because anytime that Ember Spirit leaves the base, I can do this kill. The other distinction thing is that I hit level 15 on the talent tree. That's why I didn't level up Bloodlust at level 14, was because I knew that if I wanted to get the 90 damage perk at 15, because I'm right-clicking people a lot, and to do so I need to get the 10 perk first. So I get the cast range at 14, I get the 90 damage at 15, and then at 16 I will grab Bloodlust to get that finished up. I probably could have just double hit that Phoenix and killed him here, but I chose not to. Chased him here. Yeah, I didn't feel like diving that far. That was a little bit dangerous. We just won a team fight. If you go under tier 4s like that, you can certainly just get killed. This is... Did I not Bloodlust myself? I actually didn't. Yeah, but if you're playing core, 90 damage is by far the better one, without a question. Wanted to try to get a kill here. I think I was holding Alt to see the areas of effect. I didn't get a multicast though. Either way, reasonable. Did a lot of damage. So, this is usually the part, if this was like a more close game, this is usually the part of the game where Ogre Magi gets kind of like, really starts to fall off in teamfights, stuff like that. So the item you purchase afterwards is really important. I've gone things like Bashers before, sometimes, because I was thinking like, I need something else to stun them with, because one stun alone usually doesn't cover the kills. And I think a lot of the reason that was happening was because it was only like 1 point in Fire Blast, so I just never had the burst or the damage to guarantee kills. This game, it doesn't feel like that. Instead, what I chose to do was, I mean, it's still kind of the same principle, but it doesn't feel as bad. It doesn't feel like I'm super in trouble. I got I think a 2x cast that time. Either way, I hit really fast, so I mean, plus 90 damage is insane. I hit for 250 right now. It's incredible. I could hypothetically go something like Deso, if I really wanted to just deal an insane amount of damage. I could go Silver Edge. That way I could guarantee break the evasion passive of the PA. It's not really that needed though, because I could also go other items and I do magic damage, so it's like I have options against the PA. The other possible solution, of course, is that I go Orchid. And the reason I wanted to go Orchid was because a lot of their heroes have ways to keep themselves alive if I do gank them. Because basically my goal right now, and this should be your goal anytime you're playing a Shadow Blade Snowball hero like this, and by this I don't mean Ogre Magi, I mean anytime you're playing a Shadow Blade hero and your goal is to go around killing people, you want to ensure that you can kill anybody that's by themselves on the map. Because if you're successful at doing that, then they never feel comfortable leaving the base. And once that happens, as long as you put wards around the base like this, like where we have our 2 wards, the game is basically over. If all the creep waves are always here, or here, here, and here, they don't feel comfortable walking past those, and the only way they could is if they smoke. So us taking Roche is the easiest thing ever. They don't even have to be dead, because we know that they're so scared to be on the map because they don't know where I am. Like if we look at their perspective, they literally know where we are because they have an observer. But normally, they won't even be able to step foot outside of the base. So I decided to buy Orchid because that further makes those kills easier. And it also gives me some other nice benefits, like gives me a lot more mana regen over time, which I needed because this was only giving me 0.75. This is 2.25. It also gives me a lot of damage. It's 35 or 55 damage, and it gives me 30 attack speed, and it gives me 25 int, which is more magic resistance. Now I'm up to 12.3%, and it gives me 5.5 spell. I have 5.5 spell int for my int gain, and you can also turn it into a further right-click item. I can make a Bloodthorn. A chance to crit, and if I Bloodthorn, or if I use the active, then it will surely get kills. So if you're wondering why I didn't hit first there, it's because I was worried about him running away again. Because I know that if he runs away, if he uses his Activate Fire Remnant, he's gone. So instead what I did was I approached using Shadow Blade to make sure he didn't see me coming, and then I stunned him as soon as possible. Because I knew that as soon as I stun him, he can't react, and then I'm allowed to use Orchid. I also hypothetically could have walked forward used Orchid as soon as possible and then stunned, that would have also worked, but it just would have been slightly more dangerous because he could have possibly walked away from me too fast to prevent me from casting Fire Blast. Fire Blast into Orchid was by far the safest. Gives me 5 seconds to kill him. I knew we had more than enough damage to do so, and now by killing him, this gives us a chance to just go high ground nice and easy. Very simple stuff. I kind of wanted to walk forward up here, kill the egg. They really didn't need to silence. They should have saved that for if we committed to the kill, probably. Just walking in, trying to do some damage. I loved when he did this. He's like, please don't kill my friend. Attack me with my blade mail. But, you know, that's like it was the most threatening thing you could do in that moment. But I really like the Orchid pickup in this case. It definitely solidifies me as a ganker. If my ganks didn't feel so easy, what I would have probably done instead, I'm gonna try to Orchid him here. Did not get him in time. Maybe I tried to Fire Blast, I don't remember. But what I definitely should have done was try to Orchid. Trying to snake back in here, see if I can get a kill. Don't know if he had a remnant or not. He should have seen me coming in time, I'm pretty sure that he did. Yeah, I remember dying down here. Little too overeager for once. Don't necessarily want to sell my Stout Shield because you can use it for things like Basher, but it's definitely more than time to sell my Falling Blade. But basically, the game is over. Team did very well. These are items if you're kind of curious what they have. I like the MKB pickup for Jared here, was smart. I know Battle Fairy is very common as a carry item right now, even on heroes like PL, but I think this game, this is not a bad idea. Just go Diffusal Manta. I think it's certainly effective. I was gonna say, I don't think we actually won it right here. Oh, I remember that. I really thought he was going to kill it in time, but he did not. So, I think if this game was different, let's say it was more even, I think going the Orchid is good. It definitely fit this game really well. If I wanted to go something a little different, maybe if I wanted something more team fight oriented, I could go, or damage oriented, I could buy Ags there. Because Orchid and Ags are about the same price. I think Orchid is just over 4k, and Ags is the same price. So 4.75 and Ags is 4.2. So very similar in terms of cost. Ags would have been good, of course, because of 2 Fire Blasts. I could Fire Blast into Unrefined to guarantee up to 3 seconds of stun. Not to mention 2 chances at getting multicasts. Would have been really good. Probably a high chance they have. Oh man, that was so funny. I just hit him 3 times, he just died. If I'm playing against a good player there, I would not hit him 3 times in a row. I would maybe hit him twice and then cast a spell. But I would never go for the 3rd hit. I would have used Orchid or Fire Blast. But we're so far ahead. I was like, let's see if I can get away with a triple hit here. 300 attack speed is pretty good. And then I can use Bloodthorn, of course. I get a little crit on every hit. I actually think I die here. Yeah. Did die. Lost more int. Got stupider. Main reason I'm actually still dying, I think, is because of Soul Catcher. Increases the damage you take by, what, 50%? So, even though I'm resistant, and they're a little bit limited on damage, they can still kill me. Especially with helps from... Did the tower hit me? I don't remember. So, other items that I maybe could have purchased. I think Orchid is certainly a good option. I don't know if I'd go Veil, but I think there's maybe some potential for it, because it gives me a lot of int. Decent amount of int, increases the magic damage I deal, HP regen, armor. Wouldn't be awful, but I would argue that as a core, it's a little bit weaker than I have potential for, because I can farm bigger items, and I can spend more money to get something that's a little bit better. So I would say that Aether Lens is not worth it. I don't really need... Cast range is nice, but it's not really needed, and the mana pool increase is not very valuable, and the mana regen it gives is weak. Force Staff could be useful. BKB is definitely an option. after the Shadow Blade. And again, you can maybe shave off Echo Saber if you want to, but I don't recommend it. I don't know if you need both Soul Ring and Echo Saber, but it kind of felt like Soul Ring was certainly worth it if I'm in the mid lane and spamming spells. But I feel like most mid players don't get Soul Ring. They almost never do. But most mid heroes aren't really highly regenerative, so maybe that's why. Other items I could purchase. I don't think I would buy a Meteor Hammer, probably, but hypothetically I could. I have cast range. The stats are really good for Ogre Magi. That would help you push towers, but you've got Bloodlust, so you can make anybody good at hitting towers, including yourself. So I wouldn't want to do that. Hypothetically, E-Blade could work, but it's probably way more agility than I needed. Really, if I want to go nuke, it's pretty much Ags, for sure. I'd go Ags or I'd go Dagon. Maybe there's potential for a Kaya. I kind of like the Kaya because intelligence, spell amplification makes your mana costs cheaper. But the thing with Kaya's mana cost reduction, I don't think that's needed until you get Ags. Because if I don't have Aghanim Scepter, my only costs are casting Bloodlust once in a while, Fire Blast every 6 seconds, and Ignite every 15. There's not a lot of expenses there. I think Kaya's a waste until you have Ags. You should always go Ags into Kaya if you do that, I think. But even that feels weird. I mean, this is also 16 damage, technically. I guess that part's not terrible. But it just feels so much better to just... Like, this is 6,000 gold to get both of these together. It just doesn't feel super worth it. Like, even with Orchid into Bloodthorn, I could have even not gone Bloodthorn. It was worth it that game because of the PA. I could just go Orchid into Ags as well. Get Orchid first, then get Ags. Because this would give me so much mana regen at that point. I'm getting, like, what? It was like 12 per second or something. Ags would increase it a little bit more for the double stun. Or I could go Abyssal Blade to get a Basher in there. That would be not bad. I could go Shiva's Guard. Would be a possibility depending on the circumstance. Just because 15 armor is amazing. With the HP that I have, 30 intelligence would be really amazing. I don't remember how much. Let's go see how much magic resistance that gives me from me being an int hero. Those are some numbers that I really need to memorize a little bit better. So I've got 2.5% magic resistance and 1.1% spell amp. So if I buy a Shiva's Guard, that was so it's basically 2% spell amp. 30 intelligence is 2% spell amp, and it gives me just under 5 magic resistance. 7.1 to 2.5. That's 4.5, 4.6. So it gives me, it's 4.6% magic resistance and 30 damage and 15 armor. That's actually very good. I would say Shiva's is certainly an item possibility. Lowers attack speed of enemies. It's better if like there are a lot of right click heroes. If they had like an illusion hero, I think this would definitely be a really good grab. Just to lower the attack speed of their illusions and give you some AoE and some slow. And the nuke, of course, it's not bad. Other than that, you could hypothetically go like Mjolnir. I think that might be overkill, personally, because it gives you way more attack speed than you need. Because if I'm like level 20 or something like that, and I've got the attack speed perk, so I go damage, attack speed, something like this, then I have so much attack speed at this point that I might as well go for something that gives me raw damage, kind of. So I can attack really, really fast. Let's buy all the other items that I had. The elusive Echo Saber, and let's say we buy Mjolnir. I attack really fast here. I don't know, it feels like my damage is really not bad though. I mean, with all these int items, I guess technically I could drop this or something, but I still do pretty good damage. This is not bad actually. I think this is okay. Just by having the 90 damage perk, it like messes up. It makes your hero just so valuable. 90 damage is insane. It's over a relic for just a random perk. I don't know. I'm not saying that Ogre Magi is a thing yet, but I know they did it at Captain's Draft. We saw an Ogre Magi offlane one game. I think it was Fado that played it on Secret. It worked out quite well. It looked like they were going to lose the game for sure. He went Shadow Blade. I don't think he got Echo Saber, but he did go Shadow Blade. Maybe like Phase Drum, something like that. Maybe Soul Ring Phase, I don't remember. But he definitely got Shadow Blade, and then the game was over relatively fast afterwards. He maybe got Ags or something. But all this right-click stuff, I think it only works if you're kind of ahead. If you're not ahead, you kind of have to focus more on things like the Aghanim Scepter, in my opinion. This may be a little bit more important. But this could certainly work. You've got a relatively large amount of HP. So just getting more magic damage dealt in this way would probably not be bad. At some point it kind of makes Echo Saber irrelevant, but this is actually pretty scary, I'm not gonna lie. Mjolnir is certainly something that should be thought about in these late game situations. More cleave, things like that. I think when I first thought about Ogre support, or Ogre core, I thought Battle Fury was my first thought. For the reasons being that it's mana regen, and it gives you cleave. I wouldn't say it makes sense. Maybe it does now, I don't know. I mean, I'm level 20, so this is a little bit different. Like, hypothetically, you could do Ogre, if you're against like a, if you're trying to play Ogre core and you're against like a PL or something, you could definitely go Battle Fury, I think. Real possibility. So by the time you hit 15, you've got 90 damage anyways, right? You've got all its attack speed. This is just these two items and being level 20. And I can kill creep ranges, creep waves really, really fast. And the fact that it gives 2.2 mana regen on this hero is so good. 6 HP regen. Like, honestly, everything about Battle Fury on Ogre Magi is really, really good right now. Like, actually extremely good. It's like Battle Fury is better on Ogre Magi than it was in the previous patch. So the only thing I'm missing at this point is basically just stats. More intelligence, for example. A little bit more attack speed, maybe. But I don't know. I don't know if this is the move. It would help you push waves. I don't know. This is, the more I think about it, this sounds really good. Push waves faster, because Ignite doesn't let you do that. You can jungle really, really fast. You can still fight early with it, because you have naturally high HP. I don't know. I'm going to have to try this out. I'll try this out sometime. Just makes me want to play Ogre pub games and stupid rolls all the time. Movement speed is certainly an issue. That's definitely one place where you're lacking. So, I don't know, maybe it makes sense to have like a Windlace or something. For like the 25 movement speed it gives you. Or Drum or something. You could always go Drum over Echo. I think that would be potentially very good. Phase Drum Battle Fury. Skip the Echo Saber. Might be worthwhile. 20 movement speed, 0.75, same mana regen. Worse stats, without a doubt. Definitely worse stats. Way cheaper though. This is 1600. 2650 versus, yeah, it's a whole 1,000 gold less. So maybe that's an argument. 25 damage versus 6. Better movement speed, same mana regen. Way worse attack speed. But, yeah. Something like Phase Wand. I'd probably skip Echo Saber if I did Battle Fury, I feel like. But I might go Drum. I guess you don't really need it because you've got mana regen here. I don't know. A lot of questions. So many cool build options. I wouldn't go Soul Ring with Battle Fury though. I think that'd be a waste for sure. Maybe Drum in that case though. Phase Drum Battle Fury. I don't know. That'll be enough for the video. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Be careful how you do your Ogre core if you try it. I'd really recommend you do it with friends and not with random people, because if you do it with random people, there's a really good chance it's just not going to work. But I do kind of feel like it's close to viable here. So, I don't know. Maybe it'll work out. Who knows? Anyways, see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.